Hello, this is Lithium017 and welcome to my E3 Nintendo review and overview of everything that they talked about. Not everything, but a lot of the major concepts. So first of all, they opened with The Legend of Zelda, and they opened with an orchestra and footage of Skyward Sword, actually also A Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess, and Wind Waker, and they had a great montage. What you're seeing here is just the footage from Skyward Sword, as well as the orchestra. So as I stated in my predictions video, I had multiple predictions, but I did state that the Zelda 25th anniversary would be crucial to their presentation, and that they would focus on it just to try and give the fans, just to please the fans basically, to give them something to cheer about. So here is the official trailer for Skyward Sword. And in my opinion, first of all, obviously with a lot of the games, you're on land and you're traveling on foot or by horseback and even by train. And then in Wind Waker, they went to the seas and you were on a boat, and also in Phantom Hourglass it was the same. And then what's the next logical progression? They've already covered the land, they've already covered the water, the sky. So in this game coming out, they finally revealed that you actually ride a bird. And this, to me, really harked to Avatar, if it didn't for you. But it was the logical progression for Nintendo to take, so this kind of does make sense. Again, that's Zelda there, and she's being swallowed by some sort of giant whale. Obviously, Link has to save her again, and his garb, again at the beginning of the game, is not normal. We are told by Mr. Miyamoto and Iwata, I forget which one said it, but they did say that this is the origin story of the Master Sword. Because of the one-to-one gameplay that you see here with the Wii Remote Plus, Wii Motion Plus, they said it makes sense to obviously have a game focused on the sword to have a backstory of the Master Sword. So I'm not sure when this takes place, but it would obviously have to take place before almost all of the games that include the Master Sword, which includes before Ocarina of Time. Obviously, if you don't realize, in the Zelda games, the Link and the Zelda and the Ganon are usually different Links, different Zeldas for each game. They're not always the same. So I'm very excited for that. It will only be exclusively out on the Wii, they said, because if you know about their new console that they also announced. During the roundtable, Iwata also stated that you will be able to thrust your sword into the ground, and that will kind of alter the whole world around you into kind of like a dark world element.
The biggest hallmark of gameplay in Skyward Sword, I think, really has to do with the idea of being familiar with your environments, understanding how they're laid out, and how you.
So that is what you're seeing here, is kind of like the dark world
areas multiple times, and you're going to interact with them.
twist on it.
So one of the things that we've been doing with this is I told Aonuma-san that if this wasn't the best Zelda ever, then maybe we'd be done making Zelda games. So everyone is working very hard to make these games the best that they can.
Next.
Now for the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3DS, they also announced that there will be a mirrored Master Quest. And additionally, there's also going to be a boss mode for the first time ever in a Zelda game. So I'm looking forward to that. I might definitely have to get pick up a 3DS just because of that. Also for the Zelda 25th anniversary, they also announced, I think, 4 games. The first one was Link's Awakening, that's available on the download service for the 3DS. That was announced, I think, on Monday previously. So that was June the 6th, I do believe. They also announced Legend of Zelda 4 Swords for free download on the DSi, if I'm not mistaken. With the Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, you can also get this new Wii Remote that's special to it that you just saw there on screen. And also for the 25th anniversary, they're announcing 2 CDs, one for Ocarina of Time and one for the 25th anniversary. And the next game up that I said should be there for sure because we knew that it was in development is the new Kirby title for the Wii. I really liked the Kirby's Dream Land 3, and I really enjoyed Kirby's Crystal Shards, even though it was kind of simple, but the fact that you could combine 2 different enemies and swallow the 2 different types and then get even more different types of weapons was really neat. I like the game. So the new Kirby Wii, simply as it's called, this is not the same artistic style as Kirby's Epic Yarn. This is a totally normal Kirby game, let's say, with a few twists that we'll get into towards the end of this trailer. This is the full trailer. So you can see some of his upgrades with the Stone Kirby, Link Kirby, which is always neat. Look at how big that sword is. It looks like a Link Kirby anyways. They also stated that this game has been in development since the GameCube days. We remember seeing some screenshots of it, I think, and it never came out. Kind of like whatever happened to Wii Vitality sensors. Thank God they got rid of that, but Nintendo realizes that certain games aren't really working or they'll have to concentrate on other things, so now is the time for a new Kirby game. So you definitely have Skyward Sword to look forward to this Christmas, and you also have this new Kirby game, and the graphics in this actually look really good, but it does look like it's completely a side-scroller. And there's a return of Meta Knight, but this time as a playable character. So it looks like this is your second player that you can play as, but there's also King Dedede and Waddle Dee. So this almost looks like a new Super Mario Bros. Wii 4-person experience with Kirby sometimes swallowing up all the enemies, all of your friends, and using them as a weapon. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be And this next up was, just as I predicted in my E3 predictions video, Mario Party 9. And it really did lack a lackluster, it felt very lackluster. It didn't have the pop and sparkle of Mario, basically. It felt too bland and generic just using the Miis. So I thought that they definitely have to go back to Mario Party 9, this time using Wii Motion Plus, and this is a Wii title. This is not for the new console. If you're wondering when I will get into the next console, that's towards the end of the review. Not the end of the review, but I guess the end of the video. So here's some cool gameplay mechanics from the new game. Looks exactly like any Mario Party title, but this time they included some of the more recent Wii titles. Just a little hark back there to New Super Mario Bros. Wii. They didn't announce a release for this, but you should hope that it would come out before the end of the year, so by Christmas, but we never know. And that was not actually during the press conference, nor was this next one called Fortune Street, and this is actually being made between Square Enix and Nintendo, which is neat to see. So this one is just like Mario Party, it looks like, or a Monopoly game. But this time around, doesn't seem to be like the little mini games. I don't know what they're doing. There's these kinds of little mini games that kind of look like New Super Mario Bros. Wii, very popular title. There's obviously a character from Square Enix, so look for Fortune 500 to come out, or Fortune Street, if I called it Fortune 500 by mistake. It's supposed to come out this year at some point. Looks a little too similar to Mario Party to me, though. Next, I'm just going to get into a few of the 3DS titles. Normally, I'm a home console gamer, but I might have to pick up a 3DS just for a few of these games here. Here's 5 of them made by Nintendo. So this first one is obviously Mario Kart, which includes hang gliding, and it also actually has going underneath water as well. So your kart kind of has a glider on it and also has a submarine. Now this is one of my favorite games for the Nintendo 64 that I believe this is a remake, but there was also whispers of a brand new game being in development. But I think this is the remake of Star Fox 64 on the 3DS. They did announce this last year at E3. This next game is brand new. This one is Super Mario for the 3DS. And they said it's supposed to be a cross between like Super Mario Galaxy, I guess, and Mario 64, and I guess a little bit of New Super Mario's Wii. It really does look like it, and it's the return of the Tanuki suit. We're flying through these a little bit quickly. Now this next game a lot of people were excited for because it's the return of Kid Icarus. Or the return of Pit, let's just say. So this does look like obviously a huge shooter for the 3DS. I think it's going to be very popular. I've never played the Kid Icarus games actually, so I might have to get this when I eventually get a 3DS. And this next game was a huge surprise. Clearly by that beginning you should know that this is a sequel to Luigi's Mansion. They did not do a remake of the GameCube game. This is a unique title, and this actually does incorporate multiple mansions, they said, so it should be much longer than the GameCube version. The GameCube game was good, it was just very short. So that were a few of the actual games for obviously the 3DS, and this next video is the actual trailer that they showed during the press conference of Super Mario. And I was kind of worrisome about the 3DS and Mario because if you remember back to the Virtual Boy, they had a Mario game called Mario Clash on it, and it did very poorly. It was okay, but it really was not that great. Normally I'm just a console gamer, as you know, but this game looks like a lot of fun. I like the spikes coming out at you and everything like that, and you can walk on things just like in Super Mario Sunshine. They have a lot of the platforming elements from the more recent 3D Mario games. Nintendo always has some great ideas with like piano levels and things like that, and great underwater levels. And it does look like it'll be a combination of 3D levels and 2D levels. Kind of like what Super Mario Galaxy 2 had. You kind of shift in and out of 2D and 3D. That game definitely looks like absolutely lots of fun. Now next, this is a montage. I thought I'd throw this in. These are third-party 3DS titles. So we had the Mercenaries there, and then obviously Mario and Sonic at the London Olympic Games. That's made by Sega. Ace Combat 3D. Some flying games might be really cool, but Star Fox for me would be excellent. Now Tetris in 3D seems absolutely redundantly pointless to me because you can get it on any console, but they announced it all the same. And Cave Story 3D, that should be an excellent title. Cave Story was a great game. Maybe not great, but definitely good. Resident Evil Revelations. More games for the hardcore, let's say. Driver Renegade. The graphics don't look all that great, but I would need to see them on the console because they are blown up. Pac-Man and Galaga Dimensions. This could be interesting. Tekken 3D, which is fantastic. That's excellent that they got that. That's made by Namco. And Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater 3D. Which is clearly a remake, but still, it's Snake Eater and it's Metal.
In fact, we're so convinced of it that we put that pronoun right in the name. So today, welcome to the world of Wii U.
Whether you love or hate the new title of the console or the new name of the console, Wii U, that's what it's going to be called. They announced it. Nintendo sticks to their guns usually. Now understand this. This is a fully brand new console. There is a new box. At the press conference, they didn't really show the box much, but it was in the videos and pictures. The main thing of this, though, is the controller. Now, the graphics on the controller are outstanding. They look equivalent to the console, and the main idea of this new console is the fact that you can see the little box there in the bottom right-hand corner, the new one. Someone comes into the room and wants to keep watching television, maybe, or wants to watch television. You can play the full console game now on the controller. Fully. That's fantastic. That's excellent. They're the first ones to do this, obviously. So the controller has everything you could want. It does have touch capabilities. I'm told you can only touch the screen with one object, so you can't have multi-point touching. But obviously you can draw quite accurately as well. The screen is 6.2 inches. You can also play games just on the controller. Understand this though, you can't use this controller as a portable gaming system. You can't leave your house. You have to be in the same house, I believe, or up to 30 feet. It has gyroscopes, webcams, speakers, rumble, trigger buttons. It's outstanding. It has two speakers there in the bottom left and bottom right, and it also has dual joystick and obviously a D-pad and the A, B, and 1 and 2 buttons. So this is just tech demos showing of Nintendo's ideas of what to do, but clearly a lot of these are going to turn into the new Wii Sports Resort game that I predicted would be out. So that's definitely going to be coming to the Wii U. Now the games that they announced for third-party support are huge, and I'll get to that in a second. But Nintendo also announced that obviously the console is HD. They showed a video with the graphics of it. But the new console will also be backwards compatible with anything Wii. So you can play all Wii games on the new console and also swipe them to your new screen and play them just on the screen. The third-party support that was announced for the game are pretty big, not massive. They didn't get something like Portal, but they did get Batman Arkham City, Ninja Gaiden 3, Assassin's Creed, Darksiders 2, and a few more. Sega has one being made that's about the Alien universe from the Alien movies, and it's a first-person shooter. It looks absolutely fantastic. The console also has webcam, so you can talk to other people. It has browsing abilities, so here you see that you can move the controller around and swipe and use the internet with it, which is outstanding. You can also share media from the controller to the TV. So that's outstanding. You can take pictures and then swipe them to the TV. I think there's also obviously a camera to take pictures. For certain games, this is not an actual Zelda game. This is just a development idea for the Zelda universe, basically. And that's going to come out in 2012. We don't know when, sometime between April 1st and Christmas of 2012. Price point, we have no idea yet. They didn't announce any of that information, not yet. But the controller is worth a lot. They did say the controller would probably just be one a console. That's just the idea right now.
Perhaps you can look forward to it relatively early next year, and that's a game that we announced today for the first time. That's Luigi's Mansion 2. And was wondering when we were going to have an opportunity to do so. But fortunately, we found a great partner who could help us out with it. It's a company called Next Level Games from Canada. The X button is the actual...
So I just wanted to include that because it's a Canadian edition, which is really neat.
Raccoon tails in flight or gliding came from in the first place.
So, I think what we should do is call down Takashi Tezuka, who is here in the audience.
So this is the answer to why Tanuki Suit can fly.
So actually the idea for the Tanuki Suit came originally from wanting to put a tail on Mario. He could do the little spin move and hit the enemies with his tail. Once we had the tail on Mario, we thought, well, we've got this great tail. I mean, isn't there something else that we can do with it? And so then the next thing we started to do was to have the tail kind of flutter back and forth. It's kind of like a propeller. Once we started doing that, it felt so good, we said, let's just make him fly.
And next is Pikmin
I really did
3.
want to release Pikmin this year, and as we've been working on the Wii U hardware, and I've been looking at those beautiful HD graphics and that fancy new controller, I've been getting more and more the feeling that I'd really like to see Pikmin appear on that hardware. So we're going to make it on that.
So I was right about Pikmin 3. And the last big prediction was Super Smash Bros. And here it is.
We were discussing which platform his next game should be developed for Nintendo 3DS or Wii U. What Mr. Sakurai suggested then was a specific idea to make Smash Bros. For both Nintendo 3DS and Wii U.
That's right, so Super Smash Bros., the next game, will be out for both Wii U and the 3DS. That obviously won't be out for at least another year and a half, but we have that to look forward to. So my predictions overall, I was pretty accurate. They did not show a new Mario Kart title for a home console, they just showed the 3DS, I predicted that. I was hoping they would show something Earthbound, but that was a shot in the dark. Gamer's dream, a Nintendo fan's dream. So overall, I give Nintendo a solid A. They didn't blow me out of the water like maybe last year with all the games. They didn't have that many Wii games, but I guess they do have 4 or 5 that they mentioned. So everyone have a great week.